Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by my esteemed colleague, my esteemed preview colleague, Elliot Grigg. Elliot, as I mentioned, we are in preview mode, but before we get into it, if you're watching this video and if you don't subscribe already, please do subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to us. To help really helps with the growth of ESBR Boxing. And yeah, like, subscribe, share, all of that, the usual. We've got you covered from all angles, really, with plenty of boxing content. But as I mentioned, this is a preview. This is a preview video. We are previewing another big heavyweight fight on the Israel Madrimov Terence Crawford undercard on Saturday, 3rd of August. There's another heavyweight fight between Jared Anderson and Martin Bakuli, but this heavyweight fight and this preview is all centered around former world heavyweight champion Andy Ruiz Jr. as he faces big baby Jarrell Miller. We'll come on to the fight a bit more in a second, mate. But first and foremost, I just want to ask you straight off the bat, can Andy Ruiz become a two-time world heavyweight champion in your eyes? Go.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for the introduction. Beautiful and eloquent as always. It's a tough one. Yes, I think my gut reaction is yes. Yes, he can. 34 years old, so not the oldest. I mean, it would again for me depend on him getting kind of favourable matchmaking. Maybe it would depend on the belts becoming fractured, possibly in a sort of Usyk Fury, sort of post Usyk Fury era. I mean, if I look at some of the names that's still kicking around, if he fights AJ again, do I think he'll beat AJ again? No, I don't think that'll happen. But I could see a world where he fights maybe someone like Daniel Dubois. He could pick up a title against Daniel Dubois. He could beat Daniel Dubois, frankly. If the belt's fractured, there's other names at the top of the division that are kind of competing for those. Joe Parker, I think he could beat Joe Parker. Not saying he would, but I think he could. Zhang's obviously Zhang's quite old now, isn't he? How long will Zhang be around as well? So I expect him to kind of outlast Zhang. Other names, Kabayel, Hergovich, Anderson, those sort of names. He could be competitive against all those names, frankly, for me. So it depends on if he gets a bit of a matchmaking. Stays well away from Anthony Joshua. I don't think. He's beaten him, obviously. Broke your heart and it broke other hearts as well. But I just don't see that happen. I don't see that happening again, frankly. So for me, stay away from AJ. Stay away from Fury. I think Usyk probably will retire before he gets a chance to fight someone like Usyk anyway. But stay away from Usyk. And other than that, I think he definitely could pick up a belt against one of the other names. Yeah, if they fracture in that way.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. I think he's pretty favoured with the WBC as well. So, as you mentioned, once Fury and Usyk's all worked out and said and done, and AJ's maybe going a different direction or wanting to unify the belts, or maybe even Joshua, is coming to the end in a few years' time. I think Andy Ruiz would definitely pick up a vacant title. Throw him in there with you. There's there's probably a few world title challengers around that level that you would back Andy Ruiz to beat. He's obviously already got beaten by Joe Parker, but that was an incredibly close fight. Could that be a fight for a vacant title in a year or two? Yeah, probably could. Could Andy Ruiz win that? He definitely could win it. He nearly won the first one, and maybe did win the first one in a lot of people's eyes. So yeah, it's a fight where I could see him winning that. And like I said, like you said, mate, there's a lot of times when belts become vacant and they order a fight for a vacant title and it's pretty favorable in one corner. And it wouldn't surprise me if a particular governing body had Andy Ruiz as the A side in their corner, basically handing him a belt. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. So yeah, to answer the question, I agree with you, mate. I think he could. Whether or not he does is another question, but he'll have to get through Jarrell Miller first. Jarrell Miller, obviously, I suppose he was, suffered the first loss of his career last time out against Dynamite Daniel Dubois. A few hairy moments in there for Dubois. But ultimately, Dubois stopped Miller in the 10th round. I think it was the 10th and final round, or 12th and final. I can't really remember, but I know it was the final round, only a few seconds to go. But I know neither of these are really old. They're only in their mid-30s and stuff, but I'm going to go full McKendry here, mate, and ask you, the loser on Saturday night here, should they lose, do you think they should call it a day, hang up the gloves? Because really, is there anywhere they could go after this?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. That is, like you said, that's full McKendry. I think it's tough because on the one hand, you look at like Jarrell Miller. Jarrell Miller's probably the Dubois victory away from fighting AJ or something like that. Like he was kind of had momentum behind him. If they look at his CV and go, all right, there's not potentially maybe some names on there that I mean, what's he got? Adamek on there. I mean, Lucas Brown's finished, obviously. Bracamonte, not that sort of like the echelon names that you probably want either, but there's I'm reluctant to say he should retire, even though I think if he loses here, it'll be a long way back. But I still think he'll be in some fun fights. I still think, to be honest with you, I still think that what the style that he has and the way he promotes himself definitely got a chance. And people like Chisora are still headlining cards. Who am I to sit here and say Jarrell Miller should retire? So no, I don't think Jarrell Miller should retire. Andrew Ruiz is also an interesting one for me because, I mean, irrespective of how AJ, was on that night, he's still got that victory over AJ, which I think will still make him marketable, frankly. And I still think that he's got fast hands. He kind of offers something a bit different in the heavyweight division, obviously Mexican as well. So he's got that kind of Mexican American. He's got a lot of that kind of heritage and backing as well. So I think for me, I still think he can come again in a kind of way that Wilder can, in the way that, like, I think it'd be disappointing for Ruiz if he loses. I think it'd be a bigger loss for him than Miller, frankly. Harder for him to come back from this than it would be if Miller loses. But I still think that we've seen the rehabilitation, like I say, the likes of Wilder maybe come out and be involved in some of those big fights again off the back of, like I said, previous victories. And like you mentioned in the comments there as well, 35-2 record, 22 KOs. So he's experienced fighter, and I still think he's got a lot left to prove. He looks motivated. So no, I don't think he should retire. But equally, I think the loser of this fight needs to be matched carefully, because if they go and lose another fight after this, you're looking at sort of heavyweight wilderness, which, to be honest with you, I think so. It's a big fight for both, and they'll need careful. Whoever loses will need a careful sort of rehabilitation matchmaking as well.
I think a loss here for Andy Ruiz looks really bad. We'll come on to predictions next, but I think if he was to lose this fight to Jarrell Miller, I'm not saying he should retire, but you could really question, on what level of a fighter are you now if you're losing to Jarrell Miller, because Jarrell Miller's a certain level, let's be honest. And if you're getting beat by Jarrell Miller, are you going to win a world title? No. I think that's fair to say. And it depends on Andrew Ruiz. We know after the Joshua fight, he went out and celebrated like a king, earned millions in the rematch as well in Saudi. He's probably set for life, plenty of money in the bank. So, if he was to lose this, could he just say, that's me, couldn't be bothered anymore. I'm a millionaire. I've won the world. I've been unified world heavyweight champion. Who cares? I'll just get fat again and do whatever I want. If he does that, fair play. Who knows? For me, mate, without being too harsh, but probably I'm going to be too harsh, I'd love Jarrell Miller to retire. I think he's a pudding. Honestly, I just really can't like him at all, and I hope he gets beat in this fight. I think he's good value with the trash talk, and he knows how to build a fight. I'll give him that. He's very, very good at all of that. But I just don't like him, and I would love for him to retire if he loses this fight. So yeah, potentially. But as I mentioned, mate, we'll come on to predictions. I'll not be chivalrous. I'll head to you, right back to you to give your prediction first. How do you see this one playing out, mate, on Saturday night?
Mate, this is actually a really, really tough prediction. And I've been umming and ahhing on it a bit because, as you mentioned with the Bar Miller fight, like he put the bar through it a bit as well. Miller, he can he comes out. He's a massive bloke as well. He's going to carry obviously size, and he likes to throw punches. He likes go a bit of the Dillian White as well. He'll just kind of throw from angles and just like big overhands, whatever, and try and catch someone. So if he catches Andrew Ruiz, he could stop him. Andrew Ruiz, faster hand speed, not got the same amount of size though. So it's a tricky fight for Andrew Ruiz. Really is. I think talent-wise, Andrew Ruiz has got. I'd favour Andrew Ruiz, frankly. I'm really struggling to pick it. I'm not going to go a draw, but I kind of don't know who's going to win either, if that makes sense. I think there will be a winner, but I'm going to edge slightly towards Ruiz. But I think I wouldn't be surprised. We haven't seen him, fight for a while either. With his last fight against Luis Ortiz was nearly a couple of years ago, was that? So a long time out of the ring as well. And Luis Ortiz as well, 108 when he sort of fought him as well. So, you've got to look at it and go, we don't really know what Andy Ruiz has got. And he went the distance with Luis Ortiz there as well. So I really don't know. I'm favouring Ruiz slightly, but for me, it's really, Paul, it's really a 52 sort of 48er. It really, really is. And I know you obviously support Rotherham, the Millers. I know it pains you to think of Jarrell Miller having that kind of association with the Millers as well. So I can see why you want him to retire. But I'm not sure. He could get the victory here, Paul. He could, but I'm going Andrew Ruiz slightly.
Yeah, crazy, man. I'm also backing Andy Ruiz. I'm a little more confident than you, though. I think there could be hairy moments, as you mentioned. Jarrell Miller is massive. He's huge. If he landed an overhand right on Andy Ruiz, you can put him down. Like Chris Arreola put Ruiz down on his return. And what level of heavyweight is Arreola? Obviously a former world title challenger, but would you have him on a similar level to Jarrell Miller? Maybe even lower, who knows? So I think that's interesting. I think Miller could be dangerous early, but ultimately I see Andy Ruiz handily outpointing Jarrell Miller, to be quite honest with you. And we'll hopefully see the big baby crying again with a second consecutive defeat. Right, guys, that's all we've got time for, unfortunately. Let us know your thoughts on this fight. And yeah, what do you think? Should the loser retire here? Can Andy Ruiz become a two-time world heavyweight champion? Can Miller bounce back and even make a run for the world titles? Let us know your thoughts. Elliot, thanks very much for joining me, as always, mate. And I'll speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much, mate. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching.